Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Wir haben im letzten Part hier einmal mit einem Seemann gesprochen, der nicht so gut auf uns zu sprechen war, aber uns jetzt verlassen musste, weil er dem Kapitän Bericht erstatten muss. Das gibt uns jetzt hier die Möglichkeit, uns noch ein wenig weiter umzugucken. Und ich würde sehr, sehr gerne in diese Kabine gehen, doch vorher gucken wir uns hier den Schiffsplan noch einmal an. This looks like a plan of the SS Burya. It shows each deck. The Burya is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they are not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They have been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe who's ever in this cabin can help solve the particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We are out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream, it must have been a woman. I am about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors of their hinges. Please wait, Mr. Holmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the Dois, can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. Woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Royloid, I believe. Yes, that's me, and you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I'm a great detective among great detectives. One who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective. I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold to ask you to open that small traveling case? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my, did you just see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now, otherwise I will call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Royloid. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Dann lasst uns einmal zuerst mit ihm hier reden. Wobei, es ist ja immer noch eine Möglichkeit, dass vielleicht die Ballerina soll ja verschwunden sein, ja? Vielleicht hat sich ja die Ballerina jetzt hier so verkleidet. Als Herr hier, zum Beispiel. Wäre eine Möglichkeit. Mr. Ryloid, we would like to talk to you about something. No. Oh. I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. We are not getting anywhere here. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps the great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Ryloid. Aber darf ich mir zuerst mal hier den Koffer an? Okay. This is my cabin. Get out. Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No. What a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps the great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Ryloid. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Ryloid, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. So it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you're about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian? A Russian, I ask you. What? From time to time it occurs to me... Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? What are you peering at my face like that? Oh, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Ryloid, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Or you're not. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment, no less in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath the beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, Naruhodo-san, I've never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What an affable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventure of Sherlock Sholmes, and now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Royal's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? How could I possibly know such things you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. Oh, okay. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Royal, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you spot. Now moving on. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Royal? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Und das ist falsch. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Aber es ist sehr, sehr cool gemacht. Also ich finde das richtig cool. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott, taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit therein? Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? You careless coop, duel betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found on the pages of this newspaper, for there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to put one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction, and according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Those concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elemensky. Susato-san? It wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all, go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylo does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You would be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain leafiness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observations are, well, magical. His eyes cut the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seems a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Susato. It's just one or two keywords in his deduction that seems to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in his deductions? Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we would unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. Oh, and you, my good fellow. Sorry. Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? But where are your handcuffs? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you're a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I would rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Ich finde das so cool gerade. Auch wenn ich ein bisschen getiltet bin, dass ich nicht jedes Wort perfekt aussprechen kann. So, the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Royal, obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sported. Not sure, would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I will ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Royloid either. Which means I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long hard look at Mr. Royloid. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I will leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Royloid really going to use the enormous scissors for? Ach, guck mal an hier. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sported. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all, you're a woman, and judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question being back to is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Das ist nicht korrekt. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that Old Mon was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Royloid is actually a woman. Exactly, he, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes, let's switch the evidence for something else, something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I will do my best. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you have hit the nail on the head. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikolina Pavlova. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Wisst gar nicht, wie viel Spaß ich damit gerade habe. Ich finde das so cool. Es ist so cool gemacht. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes... Okay, das ist jetzt wieder, was er alles wiederholt. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else there that shows what this woman is up to. Das muss hier sein. Also ein bisschen kann ich drehen. Aber was? Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like that. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What, me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. Ich glaube, das ist jetzt das Einzige, was hier passen würde. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. I believe this is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the one pictured here in this newspaper's article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully, taking their precious tiara with you. I have no one, no family, no friends. I'm all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal it. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia? This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in your presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing game with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup duel betrays you. Once again, we need only follow... Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with his seduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case, and it must be somewhere in the same area if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be relieved by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Okay. Ich hab einen sehr, sehr großen Verdacht schon die ganze Zeit, seitdem ich eben weiß, dass das um den gleichen oder einen ähnlichen Namen trägt wie eben diese Kurzgeschichte von Sherlock Holmes. Und deshalb gehe ich mal ganz stark davon aus, dass ich hier hinklicken sollte. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the Asperia. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. There was exactly the same notice in our cabin too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe. Naruhodo-san, you'd probably be left to drift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. I've actually been serving time for weeks now. Have I? Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, those revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage, a pet. Gott, ist das cool. Ich finde das so gut gemacht. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I'm not Grimsby Roylett. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could you really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell. Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how did you say, disguise myself so no one could recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man, I see. I put on the fur and hat and fake beard, then just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I would like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right, it is my dear friend inside, my only friend in the world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you, but in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Yes, alright, I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something Mr. Sholmes' great detection? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Yes, what? Observe your wrists. Oh, your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Okay, dann können wir jetzt mit Miss Pavlova reden. Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. That's why we are trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking. Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. I see. Übrigens, ich weiß ja, dadurch, dass wir jetzt wissen, dass sie ein Tier besitzt und ihr Geheimnis behalten, wäre es nicht intelligent, das Tier wieder aus dem Koffer rauszulassen? Das sieht nämlich nicht sehr luftreich aus da drin. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes, I'm traveling to Great Britain, and from there I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition when you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But it is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you run away to protect yourself? Yes, and the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board and they said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballot. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. That's it, of course. So how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist the touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Shoei. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. So, the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious, then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in ammunition to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerinas, friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Ay. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs. And when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you would eat your friends, I will remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died, something a little unusual. It reads, I can hear a faint whistling sound, and then a few minutes later, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Miss Pavlova, has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you, or the whistling sound perhaps? I don't know anything. Excuse me, Mr. Roylott. Yes, what? Wow, she's fast. Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. Alright, I will come now. What? You must leave now. Oh, no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out! The passenger said out, or you want me to throw you out. It looks like we will have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. To be continued. Okay, damit haben wir den ersten Teil der Untersuchung abgeschlossen. Ich bin mir sehr, sehr sicher, mit der Untersuchung wird es dann auch im nächsten Kapitel weitergehen. Ich hatte unfassbar viel Spaß, gerade bei dieser ganzen bei den ganzen Schlussfolgerungen und das Ganze richtig stellen, und da hat unfassbar viel Spaß gemacht und ich fand es auch richtig gut gemacht, und ich hoffe, dass wir das auch noch viel, viel öfters in dem Spiel sehen werden, dass wir noch viel, viel öfter mit Herlock Sholmes zusammen so etwas, solche Sachen aufklären dürfen und ihn dann eben verbessern dürfen, wenn er so ein paar, ja, ich sag jetzt mal Flüchtigkeitsfehler, auch wenn es unfassbar katastrophale Schlussfolgerungen teilweise sind, finde ich das echt super geil gemacht, und das hat mir super viel Spaß gemacht. Und ja, ich bin gespannt, wie das Ganze dann weitergehen wird, was uns im nächsten Part erwarten wird und was am Ende dabei herauskommen wird, wer der Mörder ist von Asogi. Aber damit geht es dann im nächsten Part weiter. Wie immer bedanke ich mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen, hoffe ihr hattet Spaß, und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!